Welcome everyone. My name is Tepiso Aina. I'll be the moderator for today. I'll firstly start with what to expect during the session. During the session, the people who appear on screen are guest speakers and interpreters. You will also hear the voice of the moderator and the facilitator. And the reason for that is to optimize the access of sign language interpreters. So the interpreters will be spotlighted. Sorry about that. The interpreters will be spotlighted and also the speakers too. So for this session tips, this session is recorded. Feel free if perhaps maybe you want to, you don't feel comfortable of being recorded, it's okay with that, but then we would record the entire session for future use. Both your microphone and the camera will be off, so you submit all the questions via the chat feature below. Chat and raise hand features are on as well, so please ensure your name is well positioned during the Q&A session. Do not sign too fast, do not speak too fast. Things to know during the session, please use the I statement. This is a safe space, so please respect each other's comment or questions. So the session is open to everyone. We have trained counselor for one-to-one support. If perhaps maybe you are triggered or you have some concerns, we can put you in a breakout session with that counselor. If you want that one-to-one session, you can send a direct message to the moderator. We also want to ensure that everyone feels safe and we trust everyone in this session today. So is it okay? It is okay to take a break during the session if you feel like you just want to break out a bit and think about everything. So I'm going to quickly share the brief bio about the presenters. The presenters will talk in length about their bio story when they do the presentation. But the first presenter we have is Sheila Jacobs. She's a licensed family therapist, and she's been developing her work on PATS work for global coders and deaf communities. So her work is mainly about her goal. It's mainly about to have the inner parts work together. And she will provide a toolkit on how to navigate our multilingual journeys, at home or at school, in communities, and even at work. My goodness. Oh, okay, I'm trying to navigate this. I'm sorry. And then the second presenter, I'll just keep it here. The second presenter is Nancy Rourke. Her name sign is N3, which stands for Nancy, and her primary colors that she uses when she do her artwork, which is yellow, red, and blue. Her art style she's using in painting. She was born deaf to hearing parents, and they found out later at the age of 6 that she's deaf. She grew up oral and learned American Sign Language in college. She's an enrolled member of Mesa Grande Band of Missions Indians from Kumei, I hope I'm saying it correctly, Nation in San Diego in California. She has a Master of Fine Arts from RIT, and she obtained that in 1986. She has been a professional artist for over 30 years now, and she has worked in trauma art therapy in deaf schools programs since 2019. And she's currently illustrating children's book, and she resides in Colorado. For sign language interpreters, South African sign language interpreters, we have Natasha Perkins. And Thelma Kotze is the one who's signing right now. And American Sign Language interpreters, we have Jenny Blake and Griselda Contreras. I'm sorry, I don't have a picture, but you'll see her later when she appears on screen. And then for one-to-one support, like I mentioned earlier on, we have Ashley Stacy. She's a licensed CODA counselor based in Southern California, and she had previously collaborated with Sheena when they were working with coders and deaf communities in Zambia. So just to quickly touch on the acronyms that we will be the presenters will be talking or touching on, just for you to get familiar on what to expect. The deaf of deaf, I think, is self-explanatory, is the deaf children of deaf adults. And then the deaf of hearing is a CODA, is a deaf child born to hearing adults. And hearing of deaf is a child or an adult born to deaf adults. And then hearing of hearing as siblings or grandchildren of, hearing parents who have a deaf child in the family. And the O-CODA is the only hearing child within the deaf family. So Sheila will talk in depth about that. And behind the scenes, we have Sheena. She's in Canada right now, who will be assisting us in monitoring this webinar and also chatting the chat. But I also have Mandombi, who's also going to be monitoring the chat. And if you have any questions, you'll be asking those questions through her, and she'll read them. But then feel free, if you want to appear on screen during the Q&A session, you can appear on screen and then you can sign or you can express yourself in any other language, English or South African Sign Language or American Sign Language. We have sign language interpreters to do that. So without any further ado, I think now I'll move on to Sheena to start her presentation. So Sheena, I'm not too sure if you want me to do the presentation on my side to project the slide, or you will do the slide on your side.
Ryan, what? So Ryan was going to show in my screen the PowerPoint, and
Okay.
I will sign in here. Is that okay?
Okay.
Or do you prefer to show the PowerPoint yourself and then I'll go back to my square?
No, whatever works for you. I think
Okay.
Ryan will do, yeah. So I'll hand over to you then. I'll stop the share.
So can everyone see me signing? And see Ryan? Can you open Sheila Jacobs? Sheila, need to give us the screen sharing. To be co-host.
Sheena, can you help with that?
There's an arrow.
Yeah, I'm working on it right now.
To share screen. Or if you want to show the PowerPoint to Pizza, then I can sign here.
Okay, I'll do that.
Okay, so Tapiso will show the PowerPoint. Okay. But I want to see the PowerPoint.
So you'll guide me with timing your slides, okay? Oh, sorry about that. Here we go.
Started. Hello, good morning. Here I'm in California. Happy to be here. And can you see the PowerPoint?
Not yet.
I'll share the screen. Okay. I'm so sorry about that. Okay, here we go.
So it happened to Piso suggested September 18th. So today is my deaf mom's birthday, and my mom was born in 1931 and passed away in 1978 when I was 20. So that was 43 years ago. So happy birthday, Mom. So the next slide. So this is my graduation from high school. I'm a CODA myself. I'm hearing from a big deaf family. And I'm an O-CODA for small percent of CODAs have all deaf brothers and sisters. My sister, Lisa Jacobs, is deaf. And I have cousins who are O-CODA, O-CODA, O-CODA. Means my cousin Ron has a deaf brother, Max. My cousin Frank is O-CODA with 2 deaf brothers and sisters. And that's my graduation photo, which is important because my mom became sick when I was 14. She had cancer. The doctor told her she has 1 year to live. My mother wanted to raise both to graduate. Next slide. So introducing my family, because in the deaf community we tend to meet, must introduce my family. My father name is Leo Jacobs. Leo, my mother is Dot or Dorothy or Dot with a D here. My father's family from California, Jewish, and my mother Episcopalian family, North Carolina. So 3,000 miles east. My mother, my dad, west, met at Gallaudet. I'm the oldest. My sister, Lisa Jacobs, was recently National Outreach Director for Gallaudet University, retired 2 years ago. I don't think Lisa was able to join today, but it's possible her husband is Alan Talbert, deaf from Pennsylvania. So my brother-in-law is deaf. Now the photo is my father, and next in red is my deaf uncle. My deaf uncle born in 1909. My father was born in 1918. Then you see my uncle next is his second wife, hard of hearing, from Ohio. Grew up Catholic Italian family, learned to sign later, and working, she was the oldest, my Aunt Jo. She had to give her parents her paycheck every week till she was in her 30s. Met my uncle at a basketball game from California, Jewish. No speech. Married and moved to California, and I was born, and she was the new aunt, new second wife. So that's Aunt Jo. Next is my CODA cousin with the tie. My Uncle Harry had 2 CODA kids. Harry Jr. passed away last November 2020. Second is older sister, CODA, named Almer. Almer and Harry Jr., Coda's my cousin, they didn't sign like me. They mostly fingerspelled and signed a little bit because their mom was deaf from hearing family and grew up embarrassed signing. And my cousin Almer is now 80, in her 80s. So she told me that she was not encouraged to sign. So when I grew up, I was interpreting many family get-togethers, Christmas, Thanksgiving, birthday. I was the family interpreter most of the time for different. So next to my cousin Almer is her husband Walt. He loved to tell stories and joke. My father loved to tell stories, joke. I'm the one to interpret to help them laugh together. So my sister Lisa is sitting, deaf sister, sitting with my cousin's wife, and I'm the girl in blue on the floor with my cousin's Almer's children that don't sign yet. Some of them learn to sign more. That photo is the last family photo before my mom passed away. She's wearing a wig because of cancer, and her hair fell out. Next slide, please. It's my more old photos. My deaf uncle, his first wife, Marie, Almer, Harry Jr. My uncle built a home in Berkeley, California. The Deaf California School for the Deaf was in Berkeley. My deaf grandparents, you see in the photo. My deaf grandparents graduated 1902-03 from California School for the Deaf, Berkeley. Now that school in Berkeley moved to Fremont, 1979. My sister graduated from Berkeley School 1976. My deaf father graduated, my deaf uncle, my deaf grandparents, deaf great aunt uncles. So my sister was third generation CSD Berkeley. So I went to hearing school. My parents, pregnant, thought I will be deaf boy. I'm born hearing girl. What to do? Shocked. My mother not grow up with hearing in her family. My mother only child, no brothers and sisters because of depression, 1931, economy. People broke. My deaf grandmother, she grew up in big family with four deaf brothers, one hearing brother. They went to North Carolina School for the Deaf. My mom was dropped off at North Carolina School for the Deaf at 5. Same with my grandmother, and my deaf grandfather went into North Carolina School later. So now, next slide. My mother's side, my mother was sick. My deaf grandparents, my mother's parents came from North Carolina. And my mother's first cousin is Max, who's standing. Max was named after my mom's name. My mom's name was Dorothy Maxine Morrison, last name. And my great uncle, my grandmother's little brother, deaf, Uncle Ray Max Dot. My Uncle Ray, born his first son was deaf, call him Max, named after first cousin. Max married Laureen, Laurene, Laureen You might know Dr. Laureen Sims, works at Gallaudet for many years, now is Chief Bilingual Officer there. Max and Laureen have 3 children. So a long time ago, you see Jed, the oldest son, is deaf. I'm holding Jed, he's maybe 3. Second, my sister Lisa holding Rosalie. Some of you know Rosalie. Tim is my cousin. Then my mom died in 1978. Then my cousin Frank, one hearing, Coda born. So that's my mother's side. So I have deaf grandparents all. Okay, next slide. So I'm the oldest. I grew up in Oakland, California. It's a big city, a lot of different diversity, African American community, Chinatown has a lot of diversity here. Next slide. So Deaf and Hearing Sisters, we founded the first Deaf and Hearing Siblings Retreat for over 18 deaf hearing siblings to come together. We did that for 3 summers, 2010, 2011, 2012, because deaf and hearing siblings have no program, nothing for discussion and improving communication and understanding. So I've tried to do many things to improve family life for all deaf hearing in the same family. There's not many programs really supporting our communication and being happy for many years. So we wanted to do that. So the next slide. My dad graduated CSD Berkeley. My sister graduated CSD Berkeley. Next slide. My mom, North Carolina School. Next slide. My father was able to be brought as visiting professor to Gallaudet. So while you're visiting professor, you have to do important something. So to write the book. So he wrote that book. It was printed 3 times as a first, second, and third printing. Explains deaf teachers' view of deaf education. He wrote that in the 1970s. Many deaf leaders tell me that book's still important to explain how deaf teachers' view of deaf education. You can buy that book, Gallaudet University Press. You can go and look on the Gallaudet University website. Next slide. So just explain, he was able to join special chair of deaf studies. He was the first one to start that in the 1970s. His book was revolutionary, important. So next slide. Still used 30 years later. Next slide. My deaf grandfather, my father's father, helped found California Association of the Deaf in 1906. He was a printer. He had 2 deaf sons, and he wanted to help improve deaf education in here, California. Next slide. My sister, let's go back.
Okay, let's try to go back. Am I? Okay, no. I think I'm just...
Let's go back one more, I think.
Okay, here we go. Oh, here. We're done with this one.
Yeah, and that one. Okay, hold on. Let's go back to the one before. That was good. The next one, please. So wrote a book, well known, worked 41 years. He was a counselor. They did not permit him to teach because he did not have speech. He graduated from high school when he was 14, went to Gallaudet in the 1930s, graduated college 19, back. So he was counselor in the dorm. Then later he was able to be promoted to teach math in high school. Then he was promoted to be the first outreach director for CSD Berkeley. He helped set up in the state of California Deaf Awareness Month. And he helped the state of California with his friends 50 years ago to get money to set up 8 agencies in California that serve the deaf. Still today, 50 years later, my father, his friends were able to accomplish that. I'm very proud. So my mom was first deaf teacher in Oakland schools because they permitted sign language finally, but before was oral, sign language was not permitted. Sign language is permitted. My mother became a teacher there, taught many inner city Black deaf students. Their hearing families did not sign. Many, the families didn't sign. Why? Because doctors often told them don't sign. They thought sign language would hurt their speech. My mother always invited her class to our deaf home to show our doorbell lights, TTY, and show that deaf can. So my sister, I mentioned, she retired National Outreach Director, now living in Delaware with her deaf husband and friends. Just became grandma May 17th, 2021. So I went and visited her with my son, Nicholas, this summer. And then we decided, I had not been to North Carolina for 30 years after my deaf grandmother was the last deaf to die. Then I had my hearing son, Nicholas. I must bring my mother, must go to another, but which relatives? The hearing don't know the hearing cousins well. They don't sign. But we had one cousin's wife, we Facebook. Then I asked, can we come? Yes. Then my deaf sister, my deaf brother-in-law want to join. 4 of us, yes. So we joined for 3 nights. Amazing family reunion. My cousins invited other cousins, my mother's first cousins. 2 others came. One, Milton, is here. Hi, Milton. He was a principal for North Carolina schools, and his wife is Catherine. Thank you for hosting us. And we all 4 were thrilled to be with the 2 of them, the 6 of us and their son and more cousins that we met. Now we will go every year. And I suppose that happened to many here. Deaf don't communicate well with hearing cousins, hard to stay in touch. Who will help us communicate? Often our family contacts fade away. So we were able to reconnect, and my dream is to have that opportunity. I'm a family counselor. I want to help families communicate better with the idea of family camps. So I will explain more about that concept later. Thank you. Next slide. My sister. Next slide. So this is my dream, is international or global family camps to help all 5 generations be strong together. So now I'm going to show you my pictures to show the 5 generations. So is the deaf child, hearing parents, hearing grandparents. Then the deaf child grows up, tend, same background, deaf husband, wife with hearing parents, hearing grandparents. Then they born forth, CODA, grows up to be a CODA, tend to marry or partner with hearing. Most percent with hearing don't sign yet. Maybe they learned. Sometimes CODAs marry deaf, yes, but most percent have children with hearing partners and spouses. So they born, the 5th generation is CODA, grandchildren of deaf adults. So there's 5 generations. Deaf is sandwich. 2 hearing generations before, 2 generations after. So I'm going to show you pictures. Important that you see yourself in family tree. Have mom, dads, 2 family trees, and how the communication passed down. Often communication is not full communication for different reasons. So go on to the next slide. How did I meet Millie Brother? Millie Brother changed my life. She founded CODA. She founded CODA in 1983. And I went to a workshop, interpreter training at CSUN, California State University, Northridge in LA, California, CSUN. I went, and Betty Calanimo, some of you know a CODA, well-known interpreter trainer. Betty Calanimo is her sign name. She introduced and said that Millie Brother founded CODA. I said, what's that? Why? What for? Who is she? Next. So I was about 28 years old, and Millie Brother grew up in the same San Francisco Bay Area. She grew up in Palo Alto, about 1 hour from my home. We found out later both our fathers took the train together to Gallaudet in the 1930s. Next slide. 1986, we had our first CODA conference in Fremont, California. 100 CODAs came, and we changed the world for CODAs, and CODAs with a K. There was 5 of us on the planning committee. Millie Brother, the founder, Millie Stansfield. Millie Stansfield's my good friend of my family for many years. Now she's in her 80s. She became a licensed counselor first, and then I followed her. I became licensed in 1990, 30 years ago. And I followed. She's been like my mentor, and she still does counseling. 3rd, Gary Sanderson. Very well known, many of you maybe know, very funny CODA. He worked for CSUN, and he's passed away now. 4th, Sharon Newman Solo. Many of you may know, interpreter trainer, wonderful interpreter trainer and person. The 5 of us got together, said, well, how do we start? What's the program? What do we do? So we started with, the theme was to celebrate, celebration, and exploration of our deaf heritage. That's how the theme started. So now CODA has spread around the world, and we had 35 CODA conferences roughly since every year. The next CODA conference is scheduled for South Korea, summer 2023. Because of COVID, it's been on hold until South Korea's, we hope, will happen 2023. Next slide. So 5 generations of each deaf child and hard of hearing child. I'm going to show you these diagrams. Remember, 10-15% of our hearing families tend all over the world really learn some signs and use signs at home with their deaf and hard of hearing children. It's a small percent still, maybe 10-15%. Most 85 to 90% deaf and hard of hearing children sit, watch parents, family talk at the table, eat, don't understand why you're laughing, what you're saying, frustrated, depressed, furious, daydreaming because they can't join the conversation every day. Reason tend to be because of hearing doctors and medical world don't sign. Many of them don't sign. They don't associate the deaf community. They don't understand deaf leaders, what we hear every day in the deaf community, how frustrated people grow up, want sign language in family from first day to find they're deaf. So now we have language deprivation syndrome, LDS. I will sign LDS. Language that has really impacted all of our family tree. Remember, the family tree, hearing parents follow what you tell me to do. You're expert. I'm most 90% hearing parents never sign, don't understand, scared, and follow experts. So we have to be careful not to blame, even though I know many of us frustrated want to blame. But if we avoid talking about whose fault, the problem is that I've been a counselor many years for trying, I feel like I tried to clean up communication problem my whole life. I feel like I should have a broom, you know, like janitor goes into a building and cleans. I'm a communication janitor. I clean up communication, mess, misunderstandings for my whole 63 years. Next slide. So my goal is how to have an easy answer to help family trees communicate better. Not enough counselors licensed, not many. And not many grow up like me in big deaf family. Many counselors grow up in hearing family, graduate school, counseling, but they not really experience themselves. So my dream is international or global family camps that we can set up. And I've already helped do some family camps. It's a very easy solution to encourage families to come every year so that the family will be growing and changing so that the communication can grow and change with them. So it would be wonderful to have a team that represents all the 5 generations. And then we could help teach during maybe 1 week or weekend family camp every year and maybe provide support through the year because can use social media, for example. The next slide. So you see someone drew, the triangles are hearing grandparents, 4. First. Second, the squares say hearing mother, hearing father. The next is hearing siblings, and the middle is deaf child. So you watch the deaf child's life. So watch what happens. Next slide. You have to go back. You have to go back. Okay, so go back to that one. That's fine. Then the next slide. So become teenager, 13, 14, then become young adult, early adult, 18 to 22 years old. So that's a family tree. It shows 3 generations. The deaf child now grows up, hearing parents, hearing grandparents. If you want to understand why hearing parents made their decisions, you need to understand how they grew up in their families, how the hearing grandparents taught them affects their decision making in raising deaf and hearing children. Next slide. Now the deaf adult, many will marry, have children, become deaf parents. Next slide. So deaf, same background, 90%. Then they have maybe 2 CODA kids. Maybe one is 12, under 12. Maybe the second one is teen of deaf adult. TODA, maybe. CODA and TODA. The next slide. Then the deaf gets, because the CODA becomes CODA over 18, tends to be with hearing. Then they have GODAs, grandchildren of deaf adults. Okay, so that's why you have 5 generation view. I have a 5 generation view of every deaf and hard of hearing child. Both family trees. So next slide. So just summarizes, show you the 5 generations, how deaf child grows, becomes deaf grandparents, how the communication pass to CODA, depends, they marry, or with hearing, did hearing spouse learn to sign? Then with the GODAs, did the GODAs learn some sign, fluent or finger spelling? Also, it depends if they live far, not live close, see often deaf relatives. So these are my 2 GODAs. Ryan is the oldest. Nicholas, we went on a family bike ride. So Ryan, introduce my son, Ryan. You will meet him in a few minutes. He will share for a few minutes before I stop. Ryan just graduated from college June 2021 in mechanical engineering, starting new full-time job a few weeks ago. Came back to live with me. He's full-time to Lawrence Livermore Lab. So can you go back to the photo of Nicholas and Ryan? Then the second, Nicholas just moved to LA, finally put up with me, mom, for 1 year online. Graduated from high school in 2020 pandemic started. So just moved 1 month ago, going to college in LA, rowing team. He's working out 9 times a week. Wow. His goal is to transfer to UCLA, major in environmental engineering with resource management emphasis. So the next slide. So it's important you understand death, growing, birth, different stages or chapters of life. The same as the CODA, different stages. Then CODA becomes CODA, then later I will become grandmother, I hope. And so 2 family trees. Next. Remember, CODA and CODAs are not the same as deaf or not the same, and hearing people are not the same. You have a lot of diversity all around the world. So we have different kinds of deaf, different kinds of hard of hearing, different diverse hearing relatives, and hearing CODA, CODAs, and GODAs. Next slide. So here's a few tendencies I've noticed after 35 years. So next slide.
Okay, Sheila, if you
Yes.
don't mind, just to go back to your previous slide, for the benefit of those who join later, explaining the acronyms, you spoke about the GODAs and the CODAs. Can you just briefly, expatiate on that?
Sure.
Thank
Sure.
you.
So Tapisu did a wonderful job in the beginning with a slide to give definitions, meaning of acronyms. So first, CODA means child of deaf adults. C is over 18. KODA is kids under 18 of deaf adults. Third is deaf from deaf parents. We often say deaf of deaf. Say deaf of hearing parents. Often we say deaf of hearing. I'm an OH CODA, only hearing child in a deaf family. That's a special group in CODAs. We have also only children with no CODA brothers and sisters. They have a name. Their identity is O CODA, only child, no brothers and sisters. So we're ready for the next slide, please. So go back. So that's the slide. The sibling order. Important is sisters and brothers. You may not realize, but very important. If the 5 generations have sisters and brothers, which you're the oldest, you're the baby, 5 kids, middle, or 3, or 2, or 1, or you have some deaf and hearing, hard of hearing kids mixed, maybe deaf, hearing, deaf, hard of hearing, twins. Oh, all siblings is important. Impact on my growth, my development, the same as yours. So only child, O CODAs, they tend to be, all 3 are signing, no hearing. Maybe they're living with hearing grandparents, then maybe they speak their language, English, maybe Spanish, Chinese, different. But all these impact each of us. Which languages are in your home growing up, in your neighborhood? Okay, CODAs, I have a different experience than most 90% CODAs from big hearing families. No deaf except their mother, father, first deaf in to families, and hearing parents, grandparents shocked, different emotions through different communication. Maybe use C sign, oral, maybe the deaf learn ASL, Gallaudet, or Old 10 or Old 15. All that is important in how each family communicates, and the problems and challenges and successes. So we have, CODA has CODA Siblings Workshop. Many CODAs from hearing families come, they like CODA, then they tell their sister and brothers, come. So sometimes one CODA, next year they bring 3 siblings. Then we have CODA Siblings Workshops to help the 4 discuss and more connect and often feel better most of the time, even though some still not solve everything. Okay, so it's wonderful to see. I brought my CODA cousin. We improved our relationship. Wow, we became like best friends fast. She 20 years older than me. Next slide. I mentioned that my deaf sister and I helped with another deaf hearing to set up the first siblings retreats, 2010, 2011, 2012, 2013, 3 years. Wonderful experience. Have a team of camp counselors, can provide program to educate and have a lot of fun, entertainment, goals to improve communication different ways. Then that leads to better families connecting and CODAs too. Camp can teach sign language for the whole family. For the future of family camps, can visualize wonderful family, how to have sign and dine program. I did offer, I helped DeCara. We partnered in 2019. We set up a family camp for deaf and hard of hearing children 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, under 5, 0 to 5. Family camp called Camp Bloom. So I developed a sign and dine program for 6 meals at that weekend camp, with deaf hearing team of staff joining for 6 meals to teach families how to sign and dine together. And DeCara's wonderful staff, a beautiful camp that was free for the families. Next slide. My experience with different deaf and different hearing helped me. There's 4 important, I call them bilingual identity groups. One day I thought of cards. You know, you look at the cards, you think red and black, that's it. So are you deaf or hearing? Is that it? No, in the cards you have 2 red suits, 2 black suits, and you have diversity in each, from ace, king, queen, all the way to 2, diversity in each. So I realized you have 2 deaf groups, deaf from deaf parents, deaf from hearing parents. And you have 2 hearing groups, hearing from deaf parents and hearing from hearing parents. So I've done different programs to focus and help people understand 4 identity groups in the deaf community that cause a lot of confusion and misunderstandings. Because you need to understand that each group has their own path to learning about American Sign Language or South African Sign Language and spoken language is different to learn how to write or speak. Like here in America, it's English. So I'll give you a taste. What I did is I had 4 licensed counselors from each. 1 deaf from deaf parents, 1 deaf from hearing, 1 hearing from deaf, 1 hearing from hearing. We did that we had 15 each come for 1 weekend, and we learned a lot. So I asked the facilitators for warm-up to meet. So we have 4 corners, easy to one group. And then I'm in my group, I see, and I start realizing, oh, my deaf parents in that group, my aunt, uncle in that group, my cousins, I'm in this group. It's different bilingual experiences or trilingual, or if you have many languages or cultures. So the warm-up was pick which suit. You have heart, diamond, the 2 red, club, and spade. It looks like heart, like this with so the 4. So I asked each, so they met, discussed. Deaf of deaf picked heart because of biology, genetics. They passed down deaf blood many generations. And heart because often we're used to deaf. We have many deaf leaders who host their deaf home parties, gatherings, emotional heart of the deaf community. Second, deaf of hearing group pick and vote diamond. Why? Because diamond, you can't see beautiful, shiny, it's hiding the ground. So you have to, and they feel they must work hard to show deaf can this. Work hard, show deaf can this. They work hard to show the hearing families deaf can. It's 2 different paths. Okay. Hearing of deaf picked club. I signed this because the deaf part, hearing part, CODA part, the 3 parts in their life. 4th, hearing of hearing picked spades because they said they feel their heart and feels like they've been stabbed in the heart because of how people look down on hearing from hearing family in deaf community. So you can see there's 4 different experiences. So hearing of hearing would include hearing parents, hearing grandparents, hearing GODAs, SODA siblings from hearing families, and co-workers, interpreters, teachers of the deaf, etc., neighbors, doctors. Okay, next slide, thank you. So we often grow up in a divided world because deaf hard of hearing goes to deaf school. Often in the family, the mom is with the deaf hard of hearing child, involved with school, bring him to the doctor, speech therapist. And so often the mom can sign better than the other family members. Often, suppose it's a dad has hearing children, often they become a divided house. So the hearing dad with hearing children dad may take the hearing children, go to sports activities or school, and my goal is to help the whole family learn to sign. CODA and CODAs go to hearing schools. So my deaf sister went to different school than me. Deaf go to deaf events, hearing go to hearing events. Where do the family go to the same events? Where's the access? Where's the bridge? Where's our role models? How to juggle successfully two worlds, 2 or 3 more worlds or languages in your home? That's my big question. We want everyone to feel comfortable. Like today, we're welcome. Everyone is welcome here. We're trying our best to figure out how to help everyone understand and communicate. So thank you to the wonderful hosts for amazing vision. I've been looking forward to this for a long time. Our goal is to help each of the 4 identity groups understand their backgrounds and understand each other better. And we need to make sew our identities to make a beautiful quilt together. Let me show you a picture. Next slide.
Sheila, just to say you have about 20 minutes.
Okay, next slide.
Including questions, okay.
Yes. Thank you. So that's the idea of a quilt. All of us deserve to feel equal and support and loved. We need to help support each other to make a happy and successful family and community. Next slide. I'm going to show you some drawings because I use art in my workshops, and I collected about maybe 200 drawings. So I would have the 4 separate identity groups and ask them to draw their journey. Often in our community, people tell each other, you must communicate this way, you must, and I'm cautioning you, be careful, because it depends which identity group you grew up in. You cannot expect those 3 to be the same as yours. You have to understand the 4 different paths to bilingual experiences in life. Okay, the next. So we will introduce fun work for you, and we look forward to the second webinar with you on October 2nd. Give you time to think about our PowerPoint and encourage you to focus on your journey and your experience with multiple languages and different parts inside of yourself, your life. So I'm going to show you the drawings to inspire you to maybe draw yourself. Next slide. You can think of your life in different decades, 0 to 10 to 20, 20 to 30. You can do that way. You can have different ways. Let me show you the drawings. Next. We'll save that for later. Next, the photos, please. We want you to have fun. Let's go back. Is the art not in there? Didn't make it in there? So I'll have to show you this way.
Okay, no, it didn't make it in here.
Let me show you some of them.
Okay,
real
I'll
quick.
stop the share. Okay.
So this is Deaf of Deaf. This is my father's drawing. This is Deaf of Deaf artist. This is Betty Miller, famous deaf artist who passed away. This is Deaf from Hearing Family, one eye, From working hard to lip read, oral, later learn sign, I can rest. Deaf from hearing family. Hearing from deaf family. Coda. Man drew this. So Coda drew this. She's sitting in a boat in the river. She says, hearing is big town, deaf, small town. Coda sitting in a boat between. These two are my last. Then Ryan, you ready to talk for a few minutes about your experience as a CODA? This is hearing of hearing. This from South Africa, working in the USA. Hearing of hearing, use flowers to show different parts. Okay, thank you. Ryan, you ready to share? And then Nancy's turn.
Okay, Ryan, before you can come in, thank you so much, Sheila. I'm sorry, I always confuse Sheila and Sheena. It sounds the same. My apologies. Wow, what a I actually lost for words. I'm just having goosebumps where I'm sitting right now. And thank you for the enlightenment and for just what you've shared with us. Um, Ryan, when Ryan speaks, it's more like, a segue for us to start with the Q&A section. So after Ryan has shared her experience, her journey with her mom, with his mom, then we'll ask for anyone who wants to comment or who have any questions or clarification. And then after that section, we'll move on to Nancy to start with her presentation. Thank you.
Ryan said this 5 minutes. Matt.
Oh, I don't think you're not gonna have to do that. It's not too long.
Okay.
Yeah, can everyone hear me all right? Hopefully you can see my face. You want to give me a thumbs up if you can?
We
Great.
can see you.
Great. So yeah, obviously there's a lot of great people talking here today, my mom being one of them, so I don't want to hog the spotlight too much. But yeah, so I grew up with my mom, coming from an all-deaf family, so technically I am a GODA, a grandchild of a deaf adult. So let me share a little bit about my grandfather, who unfortunately I never got to meet. He died right before I was born. But from what I'm told, I'm similar to him in several different ways. First of all, I know he was bald by the age of 18. And I know I'm well on my way to getting there. Hair's starting to thin a little bit. Second of all, I know he was a very math-minded person, is what I'm told. He was an algebra teacher at California School for the Deaf. I'm now, as my mom said, incoming mechanical engineer at a national lab in California. So a lot of that mind, and not even just math, but we both, from what I'm told, loved riddles, tongue twisters. Even I heard he liked to joke around with jokes that wouldn't even make sense to deaf people. It was more jokes like correlated to how you say things and the phonics of words, which is pretty incredible that he was able to joke around with that. We both loved conversation, travel, donuts, my mother. The list is endless. But one big lesson I take away from that is just the fact that, as you can see, and as I know, my grandpa and I had much more in common than we had different. Well, yeah, so deaf people are pretty cool. And the fact is, it's interesting that I don't even associate with him with deafness at all. I associate him first just being my family, being similar to who I am. it's weird to explain this to people that just meet the deaf side of my family for the first time. As my mom said, her sister, my deaf aunt, is one of the nicest people I've met in my life. She has a master's degree from Gallaudet, and she was previously the global outreach director for the university.
National.
National. But every time she speaks, it's clear with care and kindness. She never fails to ask how I'm doing when I'm talking with her, or play cards with me, or laugh in glee while we open presents on Christmas morning. But to someone new to my deafness, my deaf family may seem daunting at first, expressed even more by the fact that I myself am nowhere close to fluent in sign language. Part of that is because my aunt lives 3,000 miles away over on the East Coast, which doesn't give me as much opportunity to practice as I'd like, but it's definitely a skill I'd like to hone in on soon, now that I have more time, school's over. But obviously what I want to say, and as I'm sure many of you know, if not everyone on the call, is that obviously deafness is a heritage more than a disability. I don't need to be from Italy to appreciate pizza or pasta. It's just a thing to look at from the outside as well. And I enjoy attending deaf events to see unique interactions between rhythm of song with language incorporated into dance. I've never seen so many things all just put into the same thing at the same time. It's incredible.
Tell them that you're a drummer, that you're
I'm a drummer. It's funny. Anytime I'm like driving with my Aunt Lisa, she's definitely blasting music a whole lot louder than I would, which is pretty cool. But yeah, it's also incredible to hear stories about extremely intelligent people forwarding through hardship and to get a better idea of my family's roots. And the last thing I'll say is I'm proud to be a Coda because I'm proud to be from a rich heritage that raised me and the beautiful family that supports me.
Wow, Orion. I'm gonna cry now. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Ryan.
Thank you for sharing your journey. You know, I know it can take the whole day, but just to sum it up like that, it is so touching, and I really appreciate you. And thanks, Sheena, for for even suggesting that Ryan should be part of this session and to share with us. So right now, it's time for questions. If you also have questions for Ryan, you can go ahead and do that as a coda. If you have questions or comments to Sheila, now is time for that. We can open up time for that. Thank you. And then, Sheena, what you can do, people can indicate by raising hands. We have a feature right at the bottom of your screen. I know devices are different, but then right at the bottom, you have a feature where you can raise a hand, or you can indicate in the chat section that you want to ask a question, and then Sheila can turn on your radio. Sorry, turn on your video, and then you can sign or speak, whichever way. Any questions, comments? I saw Bumi sent a comment on the chat. So, Bumi, would you want to sign that maybe? If you have anything further to say anything about Sheila's presentation?
Can Bumi open his video?
Yes, Sheena will do that.
Okay. So Sheena's tech person will help open Bumi's. If he's ready, I hope. Sheena, you're able to open it. Okay. So you can open now.
We learn every day with Zoom. It's a challenge every single time.
Can you introduce that
Okay,
you're married
go.
to Pisco? Maybe not all know you are the husband of the host.
Can you see me? I don't know. Can you?
Okay.
I see you. I see you.
I'm sorry. I can't see myself.
Oh.
I can see the interpreters, but I can't see myself. Hold on just a second.
Okay. So he can't see me. Can you see me?
Okay. I think this is better now.
I just spotlighted.
Oh, great. Great. Hi. Yes.
Sheila, first of all, I want to say thank you for such an amazing presentation.
Thank you.
And so now that you are a sister to you, it's so wonderful to Miss Lisa Jacobs, who I've worked with many, many years. And when she retired, wow, it's so nice to make the connection. However, what I wanted to say is that for me as a deaf person, and thinking about children's, I never thought about them as a larger family system, which does include the grandparents.
Yes.
And I never realized that. And now it's caused me to start thinking more in depth. And my wife is a CODA, and looking at like CODAs, and in my home, just in my home, the fruit doesn't fall far from the tree, you know what I mean? So I think there's a lot of reflection in my own experience. I look at her behavior, some of her tendencies, looking at the way that
Talking about your wife now? You're talking about your son, which, yeah.
I
So you're
think
thinking,
a lot of the things that you brought up is something for me to really look at. I need to step back and look at it rather than it just being right here within my own space. And I think this is a definite inspiration for me to support you, and also working more extensively in conjunction.
look forward to more.
And so, with kids now, the first language is sign language,
Mhm.
and also the exposure to deaf culture. I think so many people are not familiar with my family and the traditional practices. And those are practices that, are very hearing culture. And, looking at my ethnic culture and my wife's ethnic culture, we're from Yoruba. And so, hold on a minute. And then looking at the deaf culture and then shifting over to hearing culture, it's multicultural. You have hearing and ethnic culture to consider. And oftentimes that leads to conflict. Families say one thing and that you have to have certain types of respect, but as a deaf person, certain behaviors seem very normal to me.
Misunderstandings.
Yes, and again, it's a wonderful speech. I'm very, very excited and looking forward to the second part. Thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you. I look forward, because I know that's why we want to give people time to think, because I'm summarize a lot of information here through like football throw, many balls. The time to think, talk with your wife, talk with friends. Takes time. Many people who come to first CODA conference walk with never 3 days with CODA's 100, maybe first went to deaf, some go Gallaudet, meet many deaf. Shock. Takes time to
Thank
get
you.
your.
Yeah, thank you so much
Thank
for me. And thank you, Sheila, for that interaction. Do you have any comments or questions to other participants? If not, then I will move on to Nancy. Okay.
I'm gonna run off now.
Yes, you are.
Nice to see you, Thelma.
Okay, then
Wonderful.
Sheena, can you spotlight Nancy? And then I can start with her presentation. If you're still thinking of any questions for Sheila, we have later again another slot for Q&A session. Thanks, Sheila. So Nancy, you will tell me when to start. Can I start now, sharing the screen?
Yes, I'm ready.
Okay. Okay, hold on.
Where's Daddy?
Okay, it doesn't allow me to share. I wonder what's going on now. Why am I unable to share the screen? I'm a host, right, Sheena? I'm still a host.
Yes, you are.
Oh, I don't know why it's not allowing me to do that. Okay. Okay, I got it. Sorry about that. Host disabled participant screen sharing. I don't know why. Nancy, I'm sorry about that. Do you have your slides ready to share on your side?
From mine, you mean?
Yes, let me try one more time and see. Sorry. We learn every day. There you go. Over to you, Nancy.
Okay. Hello, everyone. I want to, first of all, thank Sherry for her presentation. It was very good. Thank you. So it's my turn now. So would you go to the next slide, please? I would like to begin by doing a land acknowledgement. This is the sign for acknowledgement here, as if this is more of a Native American sign for acknowledgement, because it's your mind and your heart working together with the land. So this is our sign for acknowledgement. I'm seated today, standing, wherever that I'm living, and I'm here in this land of the Arapaho, the Cheyenne, the Ute, and the Lakota, here in Colorado. This is where I'm currently living, and in South Africa, in Johannesburg. I want to also do a land acknowledgement. So the Soweto in South Africa, and the Sam area. So my sign name is N3, for N is in Nancy, and then the three colors that I use, red, yellow, and blue, in my artwork. I was born deaf to hearing parents. My parents didn't know that I was deaf until I was the age of 6. So that was identified late. I grew up with the oral program and was finally able to acquire some ASL when I was a student in college. My parents in the San Diego area where they had a lot of very oral approach programs. They used that system that came from Los Angeles, California, called the John Tracy Clinic. And they were using that methodology and system under the Alexander Graham Bell mindset called GAB, is the GAB movement, which is an acronym, and they believed that sign language should not be used. Next slide, please. I want to give a little bit of my background and explain where I come from so that you can maybe see a map. And I will allow you a moment to take a look at the slide first, and then I'll go ahead and speak to it. Okay. So if you see the red area that's circled in red, that is called the Kumeyaay, Kumeyaay nation. We don't sign nation like this. We sign it like this as nation. And from what I was told, it is pronounced like Kumeyaay, Kumeyaay. So it's 3 syllables. And that is in San Diego. And in San Diego, there's 13 tribes. And this is a sign for tribe. So there's 13 tribes, and they're quite small. And so they're more considered to be like bands. And so my tribe is called the Mesa Grande. And you can see in the red where it's circled there. And so our flag is the red circle at the very bottom of the slide. And then if you see the picture, there's my mother, and that's me as a baby on the Indian reservation. We sign it Indian like this or like this. We do not sign this way because not all Indian tribes do use face paint. So we do not use this sign, we use this sign, or this for Indigenous. Next slide, please. I do have a degree. I have a master in fine arts. And that specialty in painting and computer graphic design. I graduated in 1986 from RIT/NTID in Rochester, New York. It's the Rochester Institute of Technology in Rochester, New York. I am the founder of over 15 training programs of Divya, which means deaf view art. And so Divya is where we have images or art where, say, a deaf person like myself could take a look at it, whether it's a picture or a piece of artwork, there is some art to be found. So it's called deaf view art, which is what really means the capability of sharing the deaf experience and CODAs as well, because they have their CODA experience with growing up in a deaf family. To be able to open ourselves up and express the experiences that we had growing up or things that you may see in today's world of your past experiences, and to convey that in your artwork. So I founded the training program for art teachers from various deaf schools or deaf programs or universities which do offer deaf studies or ASL courses to help teachers develop their curriculum in such a way that in art, for example, you may be working on your lesson plan to already have it designed for the children in K through 12 or those in post-secondary levels. And then by doing that, you have the curriculum in order to teach this concept. And it's a 1 week long training program, and it occurs once a year. Now, we haven't had that for a while because of the COVID pandemic. However, we do plan to resume next year. Next slide, please. In my experience, and even currently, I have made well over 30 murals at school campuses and on public buildings. I would say about 20 of them I did on my own. So 20 murals I did solo, and then about 10 more I worked in partnership and coordinated with deaf students who were instrumental in doing the painting. So you're able to see in these photos one picture at the very top where I was seated, and this was on a public building. And this was in Rochester, New York. And the second one, which is the bottom left, in that mural, that was in California at the School for the Deaf. And that was about the history of that school. We had students that were working with me on that particular project. And then the third photo, which is the one on the right, shows some history about that particular school in Michigan. And that's the deaf school in Flint. Next slide, please. Oh, yeah, go back. There we go. Oh, this, okay, right here. I did start doing art trauma therapy for deaf, hard of hearing, and CODAs back in 2012. So how that works is I would go to various towns all over the country and give workshops in order to help folks really consider opening up their traumatic experiences and put them in art form in some type of project. I do have a few examples that I will be sharing with you shortly. And I have already over 30 pieces of art in existence. And this is coming from the whole world because I have traveled and taught art in many places. Now I've already worked on children's books, and the books are designed for deaf children and CODAs as well, KODAs more specifically. And I currently live in Loveland, Colorado. It's a small town, maybe about an hour north of Denver. Next slide. So here on this slide, you can see the photos. I'm going to give you a moment to take a look at them. Can you see the person, the adult woman there that's standing on the far left? She's a school counselor. And then the one in the middle is the student. And then the other student who's a lot younger in the next picture is an elementary school student. And then the older kid is in middle school. And so this is a special 2-week project that we worked on to help students. Well, I should say the students, many of them have experienced issues and things that have happened in their home life, maybe some from school, maybe we have situations of bullying that has happened on campus, or maybe having homes that do not sign. So there's quite a few issues that these students have suffered through in their lives. And then the counselor has been trying to interact with them and is not being successful because the students are unwilling to share and open up and refusing to communicate no matter what the modality is. And so they stuff all of this pain inside and unwilling to share. So the counselor did contact the State Department of Education in the state of Ohio and made that request for a special project to hire me to come to their campus and teach some art in order to help the students open up. So here we're looking at students of various ages and grade levels. And this school has grades K through 12. And I think we may have started with the first grade up until the 12th grade. So all of the students there were in different groups. I shared about art and what my art was about, my color schemes, choosing the red, yellow, and blue, and why I use those primary colors, because there is meaning behind it to help them stop and have a moment to really think. And I did encourage them to think further about their experiences and having the opportunity to really express themselves through art. On the first day, they were a bit hesitant, frightened, and I tried to help them feel comfortable. I let them know that this was a safe space and that they were free to open up and express whatever they wanted to, where there were no parents or teachers were going to come and witness this. We kept the door shut so that all of the students are able to really express themselves. So we went through this project for 2 weeks. The first week was kind of slow going, and it was a process. Many of the students didn't know what to draw, and I'm not a psychiatrist, I'm just an artist. And I was just trying to help them make art and try to explain to them that there's really no right or wrong when it comes to doing and making art. That you are absolutely free to express yourself in any way that you desire. So after the 2-week project was over, and going into the second week, on the last few days especially, the students felt good enough and felt a lot more open, more comfortable. And we did actually start hanging up all of the paintings. And then we did invite some of the parents and the teachers and the staff from that state Department of Education as well to come together. And there was quite a line, let me tell you. Students were really wanting to share their work. One of the boys, the one in the photo, the younger of the two, wow, he talked about his traumatic experience. And then the middle school boy, he shared about his traumatic experiences. And I have seen some of the parents literally brought to tears because they had no idea. I think this whole experience helped the counselor tremendously because she was able to learn and realize that there was so much information that was valuable coming from the students. So this approach was instrumental in their therapy process because it allowed them to open up. Next slide, please. So here you can see some of the sample artwork, and I have over 300 students that have made various pieces of paintings. I selected just a few, but oh my, I have tons to choose from. But when you look at this, you can see the indicators of their trauma. And their trauma comes in many different forms because you can see the one with the question mark. And that's deaf-blind student, deaf-blind artist, I should say. Next, please. Now, these paintings are from the California school. And this is, again, it's the art trauma therapy. And the process was very similar to what was done in Ohio. And if you look at the pictures here, wow, you know, so powerful. But I'm sure that you can understand their stories. And if you just take a look at the pictures, it's very telling. Next slide, please. This one, man, very important. So this student felt as if they were unimportant. And it was work for him to really think this through. And I think he was a bit apprehensive, but after he was able to truly reveal himself, he felt better. Was very proud with his artwork. And his self-esteem had increased tremendously. And we just used the red, yellow, and blue because we had the students studying the colors. And I will explain exactly what the significance is of the red, blue, and the yellow. So the red means empowerment or power. Say, for example, you feel very strongly about something and maybe, you know, you feel you have the right to express yourself. And it gives you the sense of power. The color yellow represents hope. And whatever your hopes might be for the good of something to look forward to and hoping that things will get better. The color blue represents oppression. And what has happened to you in your experiences that maybe someone may have oppressed you, and you can include that in your art. And I do also include black and white as well, but black and white really don't have any significant meaning. I just use them to help the color scheme and give it some emphasis and making the other colors pop out. And the black and the white can also help to separate the colors. Next slide, please. These are some of the students that I've worked with. These kids are in California. Next slide, please. Here was another art trauma project. This was in the state of Mississippi. And that was at the Mississippi School for the Deaf, located in Jackson, Mississippi. Now, this school is 97% African-American students. And they don't even have an art program on this campus. The counselor there was trying really hard to work with the students. So they ended up hiring me to come and help them to really open themselves up the same way that we did at the Ohio school. Many of these students were very, very excited and very, very happy to be able to create this art. And the school superintendent had made the decision to go ahead and implement an art program. Next slide, please. So this was taking place in Canada. It was at the School for the Deaf in Canada. It had quite a large number of Native American students. We refer to them as First Nation. And this was part of the Art Trauma Project in 2012. And you can see a lot of the artwork there. And it's very, very clear that they have expressed a lot of their experiences there. So take a moment to look at it. Next slide, please. So if you read this quote, it says, "Hearing oppress me so much because I am deaf and I am First Nations." That student was a senior at the time. And it was a student at the deaf school in Canada. And so you can see the rock and the description. So on the rock, it was very heavy, a burden that they carried on their shoulder to show the depth of the oppression that this student felt and was carrying. Led to depression, and that's why that person in the artwork has a frown on their face. The student would wish to let the oppression go and release that, and wanting to be able to fight and stand up and be proud of who they were as an Indigenous deaf person. There has been many, many issues that occur even today in Canada with the deaf Indigenous. Next slide, please. So here are paintings that I did at the request of CODAs. When they shared their experiences, they asked me to take those experiences and create paintings. So if you look at the top painting where you see the girl with her head leaning on the table and all the folks on the background, this is their experience at the Deaf Club. When, as a K-CODA, they would always go to the club, the Deaf Club, with their parents, because both parents or one parent would be deaf, and would just have to sit, no matter how tired they are or bored, and just sit patiently waiting for the parents to finish all of their time of chat and wanting to hurry up and go home, but they had to sit very patiently. So you can see in the painting, they're so tired, falling asleep while they're trying to wait for their parents to get ready to go. Very, very cute. And then in the second, it's a picture of the table. You see where K-CODAs, they have other CODAs to sit with. And so they're very excited to see each other, and they gather around and they play, and they're hiding underneath the table and chit-chatting. And that was based on some of the experiences that were shared with me. They all would play and talk under the table while the parents and the adults sat around the table and had their own conversations. The fourth painting is about the CODA experience, where they're straddling two worlds. They feel like they're part of both worlds, the hearing world and then the deaf world. And oftentimes they would compare themselves to be a river in between the two worlds. Next slide, please. This is titled Feeling Like a River. When I saw the CODAs sharing their stories and their experiences growing up, I was inspired in watching them share. And so I made the decision to create a painting. So I have the river, which is also showing the shape of a hearing person within the water. If you can see the white lines. And so the person is feeling as if they're kind of swimming and feeling as if they were moving with the river. And you see the red side, that's the deaf world, whereas the black is the ears that you can see, the mouths, which represent the listening and the speaking, and you can see some music, the symbols of music notes there, because in the hearing world, it does include music. And then when you're looking back on the red side, you can see the hands and the sign language and the faces needed to communicate. Next slide, please. If you are interested in this particular painting, I do have prints, and you could order and purchase the prints if you so desire. The link is there. I do have my store, which is right here, if you'd like to order a print of this. And I think that's it for me.
Oh, wow. Okay, let me stop the share. Okay, I think now I'll appear on screen. Okay, hold on. Okay, oh, Zoom. Zoom is not friendly today. I sincerely apologize. Wow, Nancy, oh my goodness. Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for your teachings. Thank you so much for sharing your artwork and the work that you've been doing and making a difference and touching the lives of coders, deaf communities as well, and I guess even people. I'll say hearing people, non-coders. I appreciate that presentation. I really don't want to talk too much, but I will now invite questions or comment or any observations or your takeaways from Nancy's presentation. And then after the Q&A section for Nancy, we'll share a reminder again about your homework, and Sheila will talk more about it, and even Nancy as well has something that you will take away for you to prepare before we have the next session on October 2nd. So now I'll open up the floor for questions or comments or observations. Are there any questions or comments? Okay, I would just, for me, Nancy, as a coder, now I'm taking off the head of being a moderator. I know I'm not supposed to do that, but I just want to share my observation with the work that you actually presented today, and also link it with what Sheila has presented earlier on, that, if there is a lot going on with your inner part of your being, we can express it in different ways. And visual art is one of the things that one can express how you feel or how you perceive the world with whatever that you're going through on your journey. So maybe if, Nancy, you can share some of the experiences that you had when you interacted. Yes, you have said it in your presentation, but from this perspective, maybe if you can share as to what were your experiences when you interact with coders mostly, and also you can take it on to the deaf students that you have interacted with. Thank you.
So working with CODAs, my 3 children, they're CODAs themselves, and they have that understanding very well about, because they attended CODA camps in New York called Camp Sign 7. Camp Sign 7. And I had met other CODAs as well during that camp, and they knew who I was, and we were chatting. Oh, my apologies, Camp Mark. My apologies, Camp Mark. And we were helping them out to be able to open up and be able to share their illustration and their artwork. And I was able to explain to them that is based on their being brought up by deaf parents and what their experiences were, being able to write that down and be able to see that time of being able to express themselves in a written format or in poetry or through able to help them get a better understanding of who they are and to be able to get understanding of both worlds. And that often means to be able to preserve and to cherish the both worlds, because they are living in both worlds. And so that really helped out a lot. That helped me out a lot as an artist, as a therapist, as an art therapist. And it became extremely successful to be able to help out and open up more and to get others, other CODAs involved as well, and that where we have similarities, and partnership and same family orientation and same family groups, and to be able to share more confidence, within ourselves, and to be able to build up our self-confidence.
I can't agree more with you, Nancy. Yes, we cannot, live in silos or in separation as CODAs and the deaf communities, because our parents are deaf as a CODA, and my first language is sign language. So it's important that we harness both worlds and both experiences and journeys. Thank you so much for that. Sheila, do you want to perhaps maybe appear on screen and just to perhaps, because I've seen, it seems like some people had issues with joining in. I don't know what happened with the link, but they have registered. So I'm receiving messages that they had some issues with the link. I don't know how that happened. So would fix that in the next session. But I see there are sign language interpreters who have joined, and there are also deaf parents as well who have joined. So if you have anything that you perhaps maybe you want to share with us as an interpreter working in the deaf communities, as also maybe even, co-interpreting with coders as well, what has your experience been? And as a deaf mother, I see Annette is here. I don't mean to put you on a spotlight, but you have two deaf girls, deaf of the deaf. How was that experience and journey as a deaf mother? So Sheila, just let's go back to the CODA parts, trying to link up what Nancy has said with the two worlds, and that's what you want to achieve as the counselor, family counselor, for working with inner parts and our journeys as CODAs and in the deaf communities. Do you want to perhaps maybe talk on that? And maybe also that can lead up to the YouTube video that you want to play and share with our participants. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Thank you to Piso, and thank you, Nancy, for your amazing, amazing work. I have worked with some of those schools before, and I'm thrilled that they're able to bring you to help them express, because many of them didn't have much communication at home, right? So they've been holding, and then you had the same experience yourself, and they could see that you could guide them how to open and use art to express, but you were able to give them time. It's important. They needed time to develop trust, and trauma means must slow down and have time for trust to build, and then trust for communication and support and opening up. So I'm very inspired and excited about your amazing work. I'm glad that we've been able to meet for 6 months. We were introduced by a CODA artist and another deaf artist. We've been meeting every month for 6 months. So thrilled that we could partner up here. So I'm going to give you a quick summary of what I call double pride. Double pride is how I visualize as myself in mental health, two worlds and two languages, how to develop double pride, because the sign in American Sign Language is pride. So to have double pride for the hearing side, deaf side of me, two worlds. The goal is double pride, what I call bicultural identity and empowerment, empowerment. Now, when we achieve double pride, do you think it's easy to hammer will stay double pride for years and years and years? You think? Or really what happens? The worst is no pride. Often deaf from hearing families, unfortunately, because of the lack of communication, feel so we have to think how to pride deaf world and pride hearing how, hearing family. So myself as a CODA, but even though I've been working, became a counseling for 30 years, I'm still not always, because the world itself is not. So I go to deaf world, depends if I feel connected, welcome, or I go to hearing, maybe I forgot deaf, hearing, then someone deaf and dumb say things or make fun of, then I'm embarrassed with their attitude. But it's important, the idea of double pride. So now I would like to share with you an 8-minute video that I made to encourage you to think about your inside parts. Can be deaf, hearing, CODA parts. Can be different, like I'm a mom, I'm a wife, now I'm an ex-wife, I'm a counselor, I have different hats and roles. My personality has different, my hobbies, my family, friends, romance, my body image, health, spirituality. So let me show you this 8-minute video for yourselves to be thinking when we finish today to next October 2nd. Now you will have time to think because I don't want to push too fast. It's really important to have time to think. If you feel you need to talk because you have some triggers, then you can talk to me, talk to Ashley, talk to Pishu. Let me show you the 8-minute video so you get the idea and have ideas for yourself to express, can write, art, and then Nancy will add her wonderful red, yellow, blue recipe after the 8-minute video. Is that okay, Nancy? After I show this video.
Work or
can someone share the screen? Can someone share this as co-host, please?
Sheila, I have it ready. So which one?
You have it ready? Okay.
I have it. I can share the screen quickly.
The first one. The first one.
Okay.
Part 1, yeah.
Okay. So is this one?
Yeah, you can open it at full screen.
Yes, I will. I just want to confirm if it's this.
Okay. Yes,
Yes.
it is.
Thursday.
Okay, here we go.
Again, Dory, I continue to think of Dory and all her positive impact on me and my life, and that I'm excited about. Making a video is amazing. Dory's fault. Thank you, Dory. Okay, so I hope you have enjoyed the idea of the last video. Your inner child is not alone, and your adult Sheila is not alone, because together they're a powerful team, right? So I hope that you've enjoyed trying and practicing the idea of inner team work. Now I'm going to talk more about my work with parts work, or different parts of each person, we have, for example, different roles. Like I'm a mom of 2 boys, so really I'm a mom of both, but how I'm a mom of this is a little different than how I'm a mom of this one, the oldest one, Ryan, and the youngest one, Nicholas. I'm an ex-wife, so I was married for 20 years, and that's the wife that then became an ex-wife. And that's another part of me. And I'm a counselor, is another part. So there's different pieces to Sheila, my identity. So now let me give you an example. Here's a picture of California. So what I'm going to suggest is really fun and helps to look inside of ourselves is to just get some paper, pen, or if you want to use some art, you can play with different parts and what I call draw your map of your personality or identity and put the different pieces, names, will help you be able to step out in a different role, different part, to step out of the healer part of you that wants to help to heal the different pieces to work together like a beautiful rainbow after sometimes stormy weather, why everything's all mixed up and difficult, but then you start to see the different parts and why some maybe are not in balance, or you didn't realize how to help all the different roles harmonize and have harmony. So I'm going to show you a few more pictures. I described to many CODAs like me. I gave PowerPoints with this picture. So that means I have my deaf world, my hearing world, and then Sheila in the middle, sometimes feeling like that. Many of you may have that feeling, maybe between your 2 different worlds. Different kinds of worlds can be, language, communities, cultures. For immigrant, it can be the mother country, and moving here, America. There's many different can be between religions. My father's side was Jewish. My mom's side was Episcopalian. And my mother was from North Carolina, Southern, and my dad's family was here since the gold rush in the 1850s. So between California and North Carolina, I have different parts inside of me. So here's one example, because I asked in my workshops I did for many years to draw your parts of the deaf, hearing, CODA part. So here's one example. Now you see the love sign is to the deaf and the peace is to the hearing world. So here's one. So that is a CODA who drew herself in the boat between the 2 worlds, hearing world, big city, deaf world, small town. You can see that she said she was in the boat in the river between. So here's that is a 4-piece. It says Greek hearing, and then it says deaf hearing, and then it says hearing deaf, and then it says Gallaudet deaf hearing. And then the timeline. So I suggest that you have fun playing with visualizing and putting down, you can see it's your project. So have fun creating, and then I will share in the next video how to look and understand what's happening inside better, and then to figure out how to have a healing path, how to connect and balance, and really often we need a bridge. Sometimes the bridge looks like this. So keep your sense of humor very important in this healing process. And again, this sweet, sweet online community has really inspired me. And Dory helped me understand that I was under chronic stress. And I moved over, and now I'm able to, bike and knitting. I'm knitting again. That's really shocking. So I'm really enjoying seeing your posts and being part of this amazing, sweet community. Feels very healing. And that was Dory's intention, is try to help each other and people heal in physically and emotionally and spiritually, really all together, to have empowerment and our body like a car, the engine, to on all the cylinders working so we all feel great. Then we will be talking about how the future, this Friday, we will be wrapping up with Dory.
Okay, can I stop
That's
it,
tomorrow.
Sheila?
Yes.
Now,
Then
okay.
Yes.
start with a 2-week.
And then Nancy can add
tomorrow, then
her suggestions for
Sheila will be
expression. Nancy.
taking over.
Okay. Great. Thank you. Thank you.
So
Nancy, over
this
to
is
you.
Nancy. So my experience with my 3 hearing children, I do remember seeing them being very shy and unwilling to sign when my husband and I were there in, a crowd somewheres or at school. And, in the auditorium, they were really embarrassed. And so they would sign underneath the edge of the table so that nobody could see them. Nowadays, though, they do have discussions about these memories, and they apologized and they felt so bad about it. I do think that, it's a natural occurrence and it's understandable. However, I think in their age now, they're very proud, when they start hearing people criticize, they will speak up and they will stand up and ask people to stop. And I'm very proud of them. And they gave me ideas for my paintings also, because the paintings were inspired by the things that they shared with me. When they share things, I will paint and I will show it to other CODAs, because I know that it's not always the same experience.
Can you share red, yellow, blue, how they can use yellow, blue?
Okay, well, I think for red, you can use it for things like power and pride and being able to stand up and assert your rights. Anything to do. Now, there's really no right or wrong. Again, it's just helping to give meaning or spark ideas. The yellow would be representing good things to come, the good things that they will happen, that things will get better and you will get to where you're going. That kind of thing. So the yellow is really positive. Almost like, that sensing to move on and getting past the trauma and creating a new beginning, almost like a new chapter. And just certain ideas that you can reflect on and then carry it into your art. And the color blue, again, speaks to oppression. And it's not just oppression, but also meaning, you know, some of the trauma and the bad experiences that you've had. Sometimes it's really important to include that so that you get yourself a closure and allowing yourself to feel better once you can move away from there, kind of wash your hands of it, and just close the door and move forward. And then when you add the yellow and the red, that is demonstrating your goals, show what your plans are for the future. That type of guidance, yes.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you so much, Nancy, for that. I'm just going to quickly share the screen about the homework that um, Sheila has spoken about. So this is just a reminder of the homework that you will have to take away with you and do it in between the 2 weeks. So Sheila
Well,
mentioned,
it's optional. It's
yeah,
optional.
okay, it's optional.
We
Okay.
encourage.
Right, right. Thanks for the word. We encourage the homework, just to enhance more interaction during our second session, because we'll have a breakaway session groups where we'll be discussing your learnings today and your takeaways and how do you journey with yourself. And just to put it out there, it's not only for coders, the deaf communities, but also for the hearing, because we have also invited the hearings who are working with deaf people or coders who are interacting with the deaf communities. So this is your journey. We all have parts. We all have inner parts. We all express ourselves differently. We all express ourselves in art, in any language, I guess. So this is your takeaway, the ideas that you can, we are giving you the ideas that you can use for your homework or post activity, for lack of a better word. So Sheila touched on how to start. You can start per decade, maybe from birth to the age of 10, from the age of 10 to whatever age. So it's also not only for C coders but also for K coders as well. So parents, we encourage you to work with your kids or your children and ask them to do art, for instance, to express how they feel about it. It's a journey. It's not going to take overnight for us to resolve our inner parts, but it's a journey that I'm also excited and happy you joining us and wanting to embark with us. And I just want to emphasize again, I really, really want to apologize for the technical glitches. I see that some people have just joined now. I apologize. I don't know what happened.
Can I make a suggestion?
Yes.
Number one, you could send the Zoom recording.
Yes.
You could send it to the people. I assume it's okay. Secondly, I can stay after 8:30 for people who just joined. If Nancy can stay a little more and maybe hope the interpreters a couple for 15 minutes to give summary and introduce our, because they've been frustrated to try to get into Zoom. Just FYI.
Okay, no, thank you so much, Sheila, for the suggestion. Nancy, do you want to say something?
This is Nancy. I do want to also add that for additional ideas in your artwork, that you could possibly use crayons or maybe some markers or even watercolors. And you could do it on paper, or maybe if you have, some type of a sketchbook, you could do that. Maybe even canvas if you happen to have art supplies. Feel free to use acrylics, the acrylic paints. I do suggest to start maybe using a pencil first to do kind of a rough sketch on just a regular paper, and put your ideas in your drawing. And if it's something that you like and you would like to make a better version of it, then you can go ahead and take your sketch and then put that on whatever medium you're choosing to use, whether it's paper or canvas. And especially if it's something you want to hang on your wall. So I just wanted to throw out a couple of more ideas.
So I'd like to add that you can use real photos. You can, if you prefer, or if you want to cut out magazine pictures, you can be creative. Scrapbooking can make it fun. Please bring with you to the next webinar, October 2nd. So then we will divide into groups, and I've been discussing about having deaf of deaf group with deaf of deaf facilitator, deaf of hearing, hearing of deaf, hearing of hearing. So we will, then you bring your art, you can share. It really helps you to start summarizing each person's journey, to start a conversation, for you to be involved in the conversation. Then we will ask facilitator to summarize each group, because we want to exchange information, communicate, and learn and grow together.
Thank you, sis, for that. And just to add that, it's something new. Okay, I'm gonna appear on screen now. It's something new, and new information is always daunting. You don't know what to do with the information that you have. So feel free to contact us anytime. In the registration, there is the email address that you can send directly to, to each one. Okay, to myself and Sheila, just to rephrase that. But you can send direct questions of clarification or any requests that you have prior to the October 2nd session directly to me. So I can share my email address on the chat, and you can send emails to me. And then if you need maybe further consultations, or you need some one-on-one or one-to-one sessions, you can send that information also to me, and then I can send it to the relevant people, whether to Nancy, to Sheila. And we also had an assistant counselor, but she had to leave because she has a session now, Ashley. So I think now we've run out of time. So it's 11:32 my time, so it's 5:32 South African time. And I think in Hawaii, the same, I think, and California, I'm still trying to get myself around the times. So I really want to appreciate every one of you who have joined today. But I think Mandombi is going to do the vote of thanks. Mandombi, over to you.
Hello, everyone, and thank you so much, Sepiso, for the presenters, Nancy and Sheila. It was really a fascinating workshop that we had. This meeting, it was very exciting. Thank you for the beautiful color codes. I've learned a lot. Red, blue, and yellow, and the presentation of those colors. And Sheila, your family tree, from zero up until to now, so many decades living under that tree, under that umbrella. I'm really amazed by all the information that I have had, and I've learned a lot. And to our audience, thank you so much for joining us on this special gathering, a Coda journey. I know that a lot have, grabbed some more, fascinating information for now, for future, you know, and to look back where they come from or where we come from. And, you know, it's not far where we are from, and it's not far where we are going, but if we work together, we will really achieve. And thank you. And hashtag it to double Sheila. Can you? It's double
pride.
double pride.
Yes.
Hashtag to double pride.
Double pride.
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
And thank you so much to the sign language interpreters. We appreciate you as an interpreter as well. Thank you for the hard work and the patience that you had. And in our next session, hopefully, you'll be available, because I think you already have the background information about today's event. So if we have you in a second session, that would really, really be helpful. So can you turn on all your cameras if you don't mind? And if you can give me permission just to take a picture of all of you, if you can. Sheena, can you take a picture of all of us? Thank you, thank you, thank you so much. Can you turn on your cameras? It was good to see you all. Okay, we'll wait a bit. So good to see you. Oh, Naduma sleeping. Hi, Chris.